Okay. Um, so I'll briefly go over sort of what we touched upon yesterday. The meeting was recorded, and I will post both of these up and link them in announcements just so people can hear both meetings and get additional perspectives and stuff like that. Um, Mocha brought up a good point about just the real world being so chaotic right now, and where we try and stay as nonpartisan as possible in the guild. It's definitely wearing on people, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the real world being chaotic and uncertain, and it fills most people's cups. And then from going with that nearly full cup into a situation like doing a key or a raid or a group or whatever it might be, and then having that either not work as you were planning or failing or whatever it might be is just sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. So a lot of pugs or things like that becomes frustrating, and that's just sort of the tipping point for a lot of people, and we see that sort of spill out into guild chat or Discord or wherever it might be. Which, I agree with, and unfortunately I cannot stabilize the state of the world, but we can do as much as we can to stabilize this online environment for people. One of the suggestions from yesterday was making a key night or like a key 101 crash course sort of thing. Some of the feedback that I had gotten from anonymous submissions were things like, I didn't have a great time already with keys, and then I see a lot of negativity about keys in guild chat or Discord, and then it's just like, well, these people who are good at keys are saying that they're having issues with pugs and it's not fun and all the rest of it, so I'm not even going to bother attempting. And I think that comes from a few things. Like, one, I think that the key culture in the game itself for Season 1 was not great. A lot of people who regularly did keys, myself included, really did not interact with keys outside of like the bare minimum that people needed. And I think that sort of got us out of the habit of the habits that we had made in Season 3 and Season 4 of Dragonflight, where people were checking with guildies about, I can use a healer, or I'm doing this key and I need a tank and 2 DPS, or whatever it might be, posting in guild chat. I have seen more of that lately, which is good. I'm glad we're getting back into that habit. But at the same time, I also realize there are people who are pushing higher content and who are looking for a higher caliber of player to push 10s, 11s, and 12s on a regular basis. So it's sort of balancing those two options that I think that some people are getting a little bit gun shy about, which is understandable. I will open it up now just for comments, suggestions. I don't want the keys discussion to necessarily be the focus. If there are other things that people are stressed or concerned or have suggestions or comments about that aren't to do with that, please, it's a time for everybody to discuss, so go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go first. Again, just want to say sorry. I know one of my comments was what kind of wasn't the only comment, but it was one of them that me and Leah had a little tension there, and honestly, I had skimmed down but not read anything. I didn't realize that there was already a little bit of a dispute between a couple others, and that read the room, right? Which I didn't do. Like Andrew said, I've been stressed out at work. I had a migraine the Tuesday before, and work's been a fucking mess. But regardless, I was happy and playful, so I do apologize for anyone who saw that. My only point, and I know we don't want this to be a key discussion, but exactly what Andrew said, just the negativity can be exhausting over and over, especially like Andrew said, when it's pretty prominent members of the guild talking about it. I do think this is a very puck-friendly season, and that was the point I badly made. I came across rude, so again, apologies. But yeah, that's all I got.
Sure. And I think one of the other things that we discussed at yesterday's meeting was I think people prescribe a lot of tone to typing, and I think that that's just natural for a lot of us who grew up on the internet and reading into the way things are said, and that might not necessarily be the tone that somebody is trying to express at that time. So I think that's something that, people on both sides need to be wary of, the typer of, like, how could this be taken, as well as the reader of, looking at the words. It's not necessarily something that is negative, and it's more so I'm putting that feeling into it. So that was a mini discussion yesterday as well. But, thank you. I definitely know that tempers and tensions can definitely be high surrounding, endgame content. We have a lot of people who are just looking to be the best that, they can be with the time that they have. So I totally get why people get hung up and frustrated about this sort of stuff, and it's a natural thing, and it's more about easing that feeling, I think, more than anything else. Does anybody else have any comments?
Yeah. We need to recruit more tanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I totally agree. Unfortunately, it's just the way of things of, tanks and healers being a smaller portion of things. There's never going to be enough tanks and healers to go around, so I totally get that, and I know that, in more alt-friendly seasons, people do gear up tanks and healers to do content as well, but it's always something that we have done in the past, and I just need to get back into the habit of, like, it's taken so long to get people in on the rosters and get the rosters set that I sort of got that there and then was like, okay, now I can finally step back from recruiting, and that was not the right call. It should have been, okay, now we need to recruit key tanks and key healers, instead of just raid rosters. So I totally agree, and that is definitely something that I have in my notes to push in the future.
Yeah, and I don't think that you could be the only one that, if you need help with recruiting, you could always dole that out to, like, officers as well. I've seen that in other guilds. I don't know if the officers in this guild would be up for that, but
yeah,
that is something that I've seen them do before.
Sure. A peek behind the curtain, I suppose, about how we sort of do things is general recruitment. People who are either casuals or specifically for Mythic Plus or things like that are sort of directed to Jazz to take care of. And then people who are applying for a specific raid team, Moon comes to me, Night goes to Mocha, Dusk goes to Sin or Zolgi. So, officers definitely do have a hand in that as far as, like, recruiting, and I guess onboarding would be the better thing, but yes, it's all hands on deck for recruiting and getting people in. But equally, if you guys are pugging or running with people and you're like, hey, this is a really good tank, or this is a really good healer, or even additional DPS, everybody has the ability to invite people. Feel free to shoot ungilded people an invite, or like, hey, it looks like you're doing a lot of keys. We have a key community if you want to join. Sometimes it works out wonderfully. Other times, like a shaman that we recruited yesterday, it doesn't work out wonderfully. And we have to kick them because they're annoying and a little racist.
What did I miss? Oh, you missed a wild ride with this dude.
Yeah.
Damn.
Outside of, so that's stuff that you can do, like, looking outwards. You can look inwards as well. As far as, like, tanks and healers go, I can't speak for the healers, but As far as tanks, I can help teach anything from VDH, well, a little bit of Blood Death Knight, uh, Prot Warrior. If anybody's interested in learning any of the tank roles, I could help teach. It's not too difficult. The biggest thing about tanking is learning your roots
Sure.
and how to like keep mitigation up. That's it. You could do little tricks like especially like VDH. You can like tie in your demon spikes. You can macro it into like your fracture or your soul cleave, whatever it is. So you keep that up at all times. But if people are interested in the tank role, then I could help with that if anybody's interested.
Yeah, that was so a while ago, and I think some of you have been around long enough that you'll probably remember there was a document that I released going into season 3 of
Oh
Dragonflight
yeah.
with like, hey, at some point, way off in the future, it might be a good idea to have not necessarily class experts or spec experts, but tanking tips and tricks, healing tips and tricks, things like that. Um, and I think,
Resources, yeah.
yeah, and I think that has somewhat naturally kind of started to occur. I know I was speaking with EXO, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go mage for Team Moon because we need another mage, and he's looking to swap DPS. And he's like, I'm gonna go talk to the other mages in the guild and figure out what I'm really needing to do for mage. So it's definitely something that we can sort of advertise a little bit more out there for. But yes, definitely. And that sort of
always
goes,
happy to talk healer shop for anybody who wants that.
yeah. And that sort of goes hand in hand with the key night of getting people in or on alts or whatever it might be to sort of give crash courses, or there are people in the guild who have never done a +10, in Dragonflight or in the War Within. I don't think he'll care if I throw him under the bus, but Darkbow, for example, last season was the first time that he really stepped into keys, and he had been raiding, at a high level for a long time, and it's just something that a lot of people, I think, avoid because it is daunting to sort of get into. There's so many dungeons, there's so many mechanics, there's so many routes and specific things that you need to know, and people who have been running it for a long time sort of get into a headspace of like, oh yeah, it's just a key, it's not a big deal. So I think getting the gun shyness away from stepping in and running and even pugging, down the line is something that is going to help us out a lot.
I will say too, and I know as much as that plug, I'm almost always available for those who are hesitant or not sure about a key. This finished a key, and I'm really at a point to always help. So I don't have a family, I don't have kids, anything. To DM me, I'm almost always available.
Yeah, yeah, and there are a lot of people like that who are just down to run whatever key level, whatever time. It's just knowing and finding those people.
And then the other thing,
Sorry, real quick. I just need to interject. Some people are trying to get in this room, but the limit is at 20.
Hold on, 1 sec.
Thank you for pointing that out. Password.
yeah. So the other thing I think a lot of
There we go.
people, like, especially they get angry about is when you don't time a key, or if somebody messes up, it happens. I just want to like reinforce that. Bricking keys is a part of the game.
Yes,
Um,
it is.
So when it happens, if you need to bite your tongue, then bite your tongue. there's just certain things that you can point stuff out. Like we just did a 10 cinder brew, we bricked it. We had a honey volley go out, and it wiped the whole team, and that happens, and that's fine.
I feel like it's easier to brick keys with guildies than bugs. It seems.
Yeah,
I know that
and-
sounds horrible, but it
Yes.
just
No, I
it's
know
easier.
what you mean.
You can be like, okay, what are we learning? It's like a learning experience.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one of the big things that you could do is like, especially if you're running more than some other people, is you can help people and tell them where the damage is at, where both offensively and defensively. That's one of the big things of like pushing into higher keys is you start learning where you can send your damage and where you need to use your own personal defenses. But being in a pug environment, sometimes we can be a little bit harsh on people because you don't know who you're playing with. You're expecting everybody that you're jumping into a key with to know the key. When you're going in with guildies, you're going to be there's a certain level of expectation that comes to you for like, okay, you need to be a little bit more understanding and you need to be able to like dole out some information to others that may not be as it may be really like what's the word I'm looking for obvious for you, but not for everybody else. So just being aware of everybody else's skill level and trying to get everybody their 10s or their sev, their gilded crest. If somebody needs to sit, I think some of the key channels could be opened up just a little bit more if you want somebody that can like sit back and have somebody else stream and tell them where the damage is at, like what to look out for. We was doing with that with Mags last night, and she's old. She's retired now. I think she was born in the 50s. But just talking to her
Not
about like,
everybody
hey,
who's
like,
born in the 50s is retired.
If I
Well, yeah.
may interject to build on
Go
your
ahead.
point, Moni, which is an awesome point about opening the key channels up. I would like to see some opened up and some kept tight because the other side of this conversation is like sometimes people are going to want to push the key they have and time it and
Not have
it
Oh, yeah.
distractions.
like a serious, like sweaty moment.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
So
I love the idea of having a bigger key channel so that people can watch and guide and assist, or just
Yeah.
watch and learn.
So what
awesome.
I
I love
what
that.
I can do is I will tweak some of the key channels. I'll have some of the key channels at 5. That way,
Yeah.
it's just the 5 in the key, and I will have some of the key channels at 10. So that way, there's some people that can be in there or streaming or chatting or whatever it might be, more of a casual approach to it. So yep, I can definitely handle and change that up.
The other piece of advice I want to give is the best thing anybody ever told me. I have a friend I met in Pugs like 2 or 3 expansions ago, and he always used to say, keys go up, keys go down. And we laughed about it, but that's like the best attitude you can have.
Mhm.
Like, even if you're going to brick your key, what are you learning? What are you going to do better next time? It wasn't a waste of time because you learned something. And the best
Yes.
thing you can do is just get in there and be chill and do your best and see what happens.
Yeah, and I think, I, for a long time, was under the impression that the WoW community was sort of stagnant. Like, you weren't getting tons and tons of new players in each expansion. And that is not true. And I have seen that specifically in this expansion of new people joining, and this being, their first time raiding in a guild or their first time doing keys. So I think approaching it with that knowledge of keys go up, keys go down, and a learning foot forward is definitely the correct approach to take. At least in the general sense. And then there's definitely, times where it's super sweaty. I want to do a plus 15 or whatever the cap out is these days and get all of your, meta classes in and pumping. So, people enjoy keys in different ways. And I think that's potentially where people are kind of running into trouble with pugs as well, is getting into these pugs who are actually sweaty McSweats as opposed to more of a chilled, layback sort of thing.
Yep, and I will say, as a long-time pugger too, it gets competitive insanely fast. And day one,
Yes,
right?
it
We're
does.
running 2s, 3s, 4s. If you're not up there, I mean, already, right? Week 2, we're seeing 2,500 IO plus. People are 650 plus. So the people getting upset by not getting invites is valid, but you got to also recognize, and yes, I know not everybody can run and do keys all week long, but a lot of times you're not getting invites is because the competition, especially across the DPS, is intense, especially this season.
Yes.
Try to sign up for a second right now. Like, if you get invited early and get to see.
Oh, Fionn, you are super quiet. I can hear you talking, but I can't hear what you're saying. Sorry to interrupt you.
You somehow got even more quiet.
Is that better?
I guess what I'd like to see personally is just more guild runs. And there have been quite a few so far this season, but I want us to kind of keep with that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's nice and it's fun. Like, we have a really wonderful group of people in this guild.
Yes, we do, and I want to keep that energy, especially as we sort of go into a better key season. Season 1 was definitely rough, and now that we're back into a better key season, I want to get the enjoyment factor back. Finion, Finangle, go ahead.
God damn it. Oh, no, I was just going to say that, like, if you are new to keys, or if you do get invited early to a key, like, say you're the second or third person, and you're looking in queue, like, say I'm joining a 7, and I get invited early, there's probably 30 people on that list.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So, like, the competition is there. That said, last season was very toxic, and my experience from last season to this season, now granted we just started, but this season has seemed a lot more chill at the start than last season did. I quit tanking last season because of how toxic it was. Like, I stopped tanking Mythic Plus because it was just every group was complain.
Yes.
That said, this season seems to be, granted, we're early still. People are a lot more forgiving the first couple weeks on mistakes. I pug a lot, but I would say, again, if you're in a pug, their opinions don't matter, y'all. You guys are playing the same game. You pay your subscription just like they do. Play your game how you want to play it. If you make a mistake, it doesn't matter.
Yep. Somebody said, as a raid team, we should be really doing any key guildies need because it gives us a better vault, which leads to quicker progression, which is true. And I'll go back and reiterate that point a little bit more. Yes, when possible, it's always going to behoove us in the long run to bring a guildie over a pug. That being said, I understand that there is metas within Mythic Plus communities, and I also understand that there are some people who their enjoyment for keys is seeing how far they can push personally their own IO. So it's a fine line to walk between making everybody run keys within the guild all the time exclusively, and allowing people the freedom to run with groups that they might have had before or they have formed since in order to accomplish their personal goals. Which is why, again, the seeing people advertising in guild of, like, I'm doing this key and these are the spots that I can take is great. That is what I would like, 60% of the keys to be. The other 40%, when people are really trying to lock into either a meta or running with a group of friends or whatever it might be, I want to give people the freedom to enjoy the game that they pay for the way that they want to do it. So I definitely get that. No problem, Lonnie. Thank you. I saw Warlock mention in Guild it's difficult to run, or it's difficult to find tanks who only want to do keys, which is true. They are pretty far and few in between. We have had probably a handful in, the past 8 expansions since keys came out. Of some tanks are like, nope, I really don't care about raid, I only want to do keys. But I think that there are people who level alts, who tank, and we can definitely push that as well.
I am one of those. My prop pally will be coming off the shelf in the coming weeks, FYI, folks.
Yes,
I don't like to raid on it, I only like to do keys on it.
And I'm working on a tank too, just for this.
Hell yeah!
Awesome. My prop paladin will probably come off the shelf around April break for Massachusetts when I have some free time. But yes, it's always good to have people who are comfortable tanking, even if it is like, all right, we're doing this strictly for, I need a key vault and it's for completion and I have this 10 key and we're going to go and run it. That is totally fine, especially if you're gearing alts or getting a few crests or whatever it might need to be at that point. So I appreciate people who have those alts, and same with healers.
I will say, even bricked runs included, nothing makes me more hype than a full guild group on a run. I don't care if we time it, it's just nice.
Yes, it is. It's nice to chill with the homies.
Because I genuinely like spending time with all of you. I love this guild.
Does anyone?
The guild does do a great job at invites. I will kudos to the guild every time I'm on, and I am on a lot, especially when new content's out. But great job at always inviting the guild. I see it every day, so kudos to everybody throwing out the invites.
Yes, and it's great that is the culture that so many people are pushing for, and I think that had season 1 not been so shitty, we probably would not be in the place that we are now. So I'm glad that people are getting back into keys, people are enjoying it again, and we're seeing them in guild. Does anybody have anything outside of keys or key groups or pugs or anything like that? Any other topics that people want to discuss or get out in the open or air grievances on, whatever that might be?
I actually have a question.
Sure.
I've been kind of wondering about the policy on BOEs in raid. Is
yes.
If it drops, we give it over to the guild to sell, right?
Yes.
Okay. My best in slot neck is a BOE.
Yes. So if
I don't mind selling it, I'm just saying.
No. That's
asking it, what happens if that.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So if you loot the BOE and it's your best in slot and you're going to use it and you can point to a resource that's like, yes, this is the best in slot, that is totally fine. So I'm assuming playing Havoc, because I did the same thing and I ended up buying the Mercs dog tags Windies off of the auction house, because it is the best in slot. So if you have a best in slot BOE that drops for you, you can definitely opt to keep it. If somebody else, or if it in the guild it drops and you're wanting to buy it, we will try and work out a bit of a deal So that way, you know, you're not spending a shit ton of gold in order to get it. But and the reason that this is the case is that typically BOEs are not people's best in slot. I think this is the first time in a while that BOEs have been on people's best in slot lists. I think mages have bracers or a belt or something that's their best in slot. Havoc Demon Hunters, or maybe all Demon Hunters, have the necklace. So it's sort of a new specialized rule of, you know, we're not wanting to cuck people out of their best in slots for gold. But yes, excellent question, and it might have to be one of those things that's done sort of on a piece by piece basis. If that is your best in slot, just reach out to probably Jazz and just say, like, hey, this item that we have on the auction house is my best in slot. Can I buy it? And we'll figure out some sort of percentage off. Other questions? All right. Any other comments about pugging or keys or anything like that? I didn't want to make the conversation totally about that if other people were like, oh, I really wanted to talk about my PvP fanfiction Zoids X Naruto.
Well, speaking of that...
Yeah, so now that you bring it up...
I do have a suggestion if you do decide to do a key night.
Yes.
I've been in another guild that did something very similar to what you guys are doing, as far as like multiple raids and whatnot. They did have a key night, but after every key, they would mix the groups up.
Yeah, so what we have done in the past, and this was done back in, I think, Season 3, was if there was like a hard wall that a group was hitting, they took a night or two and just really focused on key running in order to get that group some gear and a little bit more cohesion. If we do this key night, it's more so going to be like, here are the people that are signed up, and it might be like a round robin system, or it might be like, oh hey, 10 people showed up and we have the exact numbers to run 2 full groups. But it'll definitely be like a mix and match situation, as opposed to like set group, okay, you guys are going to go run keys for 2 hours.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I know that when you start pushing those hierarchies, like getting into a set group is more beneficial. Like, it's beneficial to do that, so you just get used to playing in the same group. But like if we're going to be teaching and progressing and like trying to get everybody into Mythic Plus, that would be I just know that was something they used that I felt was beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, a key crash course night is definitely going to look different than we're gearing up to Prague as a group or as a raid team or whatever. It's definitely more of a focus on learning the ropes, getting some crests, yes, definitely getting some gear, but really, you know, it's more about the learning opportunities or the teachable moments.
Like a routes channel or something.
Mm-hmm. Alright, we have a question about heroic raids. Will we get to a point where if we hit walls like last night but long term, will we ever consider reducing raid to 10 or smaller to get prog for other members so we can progress? Typically, no. It has happened in the past where we have kind of shaved down in order to get to a specific number for mechanics. But that was on AOTC, and it was like very clear that that was what needed to happen in order to learn the fight and then go from there. But that is a very rare situation. It is, in my mind, always better for people to get the experience rather than us get a kill and then those people never really learning the fight. And people are probably tired of hearing me say this, I will always push mechanics more than output. So learning mechanics and learning how to execute a fight properly is always going to be first and foremost, because that's going to make it easier on re-clears and easier in Mythic. Anybody else have anything? Last chance. Oh, go ahead.
I know that pugging is difficult, and I know that I've been bitching about pugging this week because I've had the worst luck I've literally ever had since playing this game. But I actually think pugging is better for learning than running with a set group, because you learn so many little nuggets of information about the dungeon. My advice to everybody is, if you need some keys and there maybe aren't people online in the guild, or maybe you're short of DPS, just YOLO and pug somebody. Like,
Don't be scared.
I
I
learned
agree. I
all my
started
warlock skips
at a
from
land.
pissed off tanks saying I didn't use one.
Yeah.
You learn so much from different. She's right. So much from different tanks, compilations, different DPS. If you get stuck in the same group, you tend to, make the same mistakes or bad habit. Though, good point.
Where are delves ending in gear-wise right now? Like, not from vault drops, but just normal drops. Is it champion gear or champion track?
I believe so, yes.
You can get one guaranteed hero piece a week, not from the vault.
Okay, but it's you can't get hero drops from like.
I don't believe so.
You can't farm heroics in devs.
So if you're looking at it from like a gearing yourself perspective, and you're going into keys, 2 to 5 are going to be that champion track. Use those key. Your key cannot drop lower than a 2. Go make mistakes.
Yep, that's a really good point.
Like, go stand in a mechanic and see how much damage it does to you. And then go, okay, I see that it took a quarter of my health. At a 10, that's going to kill me. Like, use the mechanics in the 2 and then multiply the mechanics for, like, just a way to gauge where your progression would be.
If you're running with well, whatever you do, do not standing in your healing range. She hates it.
Yeah, definitely don't ever stand.
Run away!
I want to address one comment I see in guild chat is I run with it's scrolling. I run with the same few people I've only run with non-Dusk members like one time last season.
Let's go run some keys perishable. I'll be your Huckleberry.
Okay. So and we talked about this a little bit last night. Dusk is like our late night group of like West Coasters or Central or like late night workers, whatever ends up working for that time frame. So I know like Moon and Night tend to just naturally commingle a little bit more because I think our times are a little bit more synced up, and I am not entirely sure the best way to address that. It's difficult just because like I'm not on when a lot of Dusk peoples are on. I'm already in bed because I go to bed at 8 to be up in the morning. But yes, I would love more co-mingling of the groups, because again, as the comment was with pugs, like, you learn so much more when you're not running with the same people that you usually run with. It is a new experience, it's new comps, it's new, like, hey, I know how to do this skip and this key. So I do encourage people stepping outside of their raid teams when possible, but I also understand, you know, I'm not going to be on past 10:30 at night on a weeknight. It's just not going to happen.
Also, something like if people are running super late, I think a lot of us that are on the West Coast or Central, like if the team's not on, I'm not just like sitting in Dornegal chilling. Like a quick ping on Discord will like make me switch over games if you guys need key healers late at night.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that is one of the things that we don't utilize a lot is, although I've seen Wellfleet use it a lot more, is pinging in the Mythic Plus of like, hey, I need a DPS, or hey, I need a shaman or a mage or whatever. You know, we have those class roles. It was originally for something different, but feel free to ping for people that you might need. Does anyone have anything else as far as comments, concerns, key stuff? We've been talking for about 40 minutes, but I don't want to rush anybody, but I also don't want to keep people if they have other stuff to do. Going once, twice. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate it. If anybody has anything specific that they want to talk about, either in DMs or privately, and they didn't want to bring it up to the group as as a whole, I will be around today. Feel free to shoot me a message or ping me on Discord or whatever it is, and I can jump in from there.